Bitcoin's the world's first perfect money. The human race has lived for thousands and thousands of years with defective money. Seashells, bales of tobacco, glass beads, copper tokens. One day we'll look back and we'll kind of chuckle at silver tokens and copper and pieces of paper.
How is it that Bitcoin is perfect money if it's not even money? It's not even a medium of exchange. It's not used. I've recently been in El Salvador, where supposedly the Bitcoin is a legal tender and no one uses it. I interview a bunch of people and no one uses it. And what they use is the US dollar. So I don't see how the Bitcoin can be perfect money if it's not even money. And he goes back and forth calling Bitcoin cryptocurrency, then he calls it a digital currency, then he renames it a digital asset, to tell you that he doesn't even know what Bitcoin is.
And we'll wonder, how did the human race get this far? The implications of perfect money are profound. It's a paradigm shift. It's not like your assets are appreciating in price. You're just falling through space. This idea of relativity, you're in a relative frame of reference. Everything around you is distorted, and you have to break out of your frame of reference in order to see the world differently. Einstein did it for us with relativity, but every great scientist has done it, and Satoshi introduced a paradigm shift in economics.
Einstein also said that there is no limit to the human stupidity. I think, don't quote me on this, but he also said that if there was something infinite, it was the human stupidity.
And in monetary thought. And so, with that as my preamble, I like to...
Those who understands by Bitcoin, yeah, I believe that it's totally the opposite, because a lot of money now it's flowing in through the Bitcoin ETFs, and those people who bought the Bitcoin ETF don't even own the Bitcoin. They don't even care about using the Bitcoin. They never want to transact in Bitcoin. They only bought the ETF hoping that the ETF price goes up. But what happens when it doesn't?
Talk about the 21 rules of Bitcoin. I'll start with rule number 1. Those who understand Bitcoin buy Bitcoin, and those that don't criticize Bitcoin. And you can see in a paradigm shift, it's just so profound. There'll be people that'll talk about it, and as long as you're talking about it, it's not clear you understand it. At the point that things click for you, you're not just going to talk about it, you're not going to criticize it, you're going to run, not walk, to the nearest place where you can buy Bitcoin. And for me, it was very clear when it clicked, I had to buy it. And on the other hand, the world's full of people that criticize it. They criticize it because they have not yet grasped the paradigm shift. And if it hasn't clicked for you, you'll have 10,000 criticisms.
Yeah, he's trying to sell you on this paradigm shift. But the thing is that this has happened many times in history. This is a perfect sales pitch for a pyramid scheme, for a scam. He's a good salesman, but it's all abstract what he's talking about. Doesn't have any concrete reason behind.
Rule number 2. Everybody is against Bitcoin before they're for it. Right? It's not a surprise. Why is this person against Bitcoin? Why is this banker against Bitcoin? Why is this bank against Bitcoin? Why is this politician against
But again, he's saying that to get you to buy the Bitcoin. It's normal human psychology. Very good salesman. Nonetheless, rule number 3.
On the layer 2, the layer 3, the layer 4, the layer 5.
You will never be done learning about Bitcoin. Yeah, but I can say that about everything in life. I will never be done studying history. I will never be done studying philosophy. I'll never be done studying psychology. I'm never done learning. So this, what he's saying about Bitcoin, you can say about everything in life. You never be learning about yourself, about your friendships, about your relationships, how to improve your relationship. This doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you'll never be done learning about Bitcoin.
To understand how the layer 3 applications will interact with each other via layer 2 protocols, via layer 1 protocols of a city. When you take your money and you buy a piece of art, you're loaning your money and investing your money in a culture. When you actually buy Bitcoin, you're loaning your money to the lords of entropy. You're loaning your money to the gods of chaos. What's the bet? The bet is that chaos will outperform cities, companies, countries, cultures. It's a profound idea.
Yeah, again, sales pitch. He doesn't have any evidence of this. Well, it might be true, but it can also not work to your advantage. It's a very risky thing to put all your money in Bitcoin because it's powered by chaos.
I place you in Europe before World War II. I give you a lot of money, and I give you a choice. You can buy any piece of land in any country. You can buy any building. You can own any company in Europe. You can own art in Europe. You can invest in the currencies and the bonds of Europe. Imagine I give you a choice of buying any asset in any nation that's about to be a combatant in World War II, or you can own the one bank in Switzerland that's going to hold all the money of all the combatants. And you see, if you own that Swiss bank.
But you know, he's right if this was true. But he's making some assumptions here. Those analogies that he makes, he puts it out of his ass. It's got no concrete evidence of anything. He does those analogies, but they don't actually reflect the truth.
And everybody puts their money in the bank, and the war comes, chaos comes, and or that region or that real estate or this art dealership or something. Maybe you find a game for a while that you can win, but there is no game that everybody can win all the time, right? Bitcoin is the casino. It is the house of.
How is it that anyone can win? It can be, okay? For someone to win, someone is losing, okay? And again, this is the exercise of the greatest fool. We can all win, for sure, and anyone can win. And what about all those people who logged into the crypto exchange and they got wiped out because their account was hacked? And what about all those fraudulent transactions? No, okay, anyone can win. No, it's full of it.
Chaos. Anybody that wants to play in that game can keep winning. In fact, right, the most profound idea here is the only way to lose in the game of Bitcoin is you don't play the game, or you quit too soon until the odds come to your favor.
Again, he's saying that because it's convenient to him, because he's got a bunch of Bitcoin, and you buying a Bitcoin, it pushes the prices up, and he makes money, and his company share price goes up. But I mean, you believe into that?
So walk into the casino, sit down, play the game of Bitcoin, don't quit. Everybody wins. Or walk out of the casino, play a different game. Over a long enough time horizon, you'll be a loser in every. It doesn't help to tell everybody you know about Bitcoin but be afraid to buy it. It doesn't help to buy it if you don't control it. It doesn't help, when you put 1% of your assets into Bitcoin and the rest go to zero and the 1% increases by a factor of 20 or 30 or 100.
All your assets go to zero. But the only performing asset is the Bitcoin. Comedian.
You'll be saying to yourself, I guess I got something, and then you'll look back and you'll think, I'd be a lot better if 99% of my body hadn't been burned. Maybe I could have suited up more than 1% of my body. Don't leave yourself with an Achilles heel. Rule number 7. Bitcoin's the one thing in the universe that you can truly own. How? Why? Right? It's information manifested.
Yeah, you can truly own. When it drops to 10 grand and you pay 100 grand for it, what difference does it make if you the only thing that you can truly own? It's the only thing you can truly own. How so? If you borrow against it, you use it as a collateral, your account gets hacked, you send the money to a wrong address, you lose everything. Idiot.
As economic value. The network has to be durable. The network has to be decentralized. The network has to be ethical. But if you find an economically sound tech, you realize that you need to break with your convention.
Everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve.
With your rituals, with all of your history. And
well, he's saying that to get you to buy Bitcoin. It's so transparent to me. Sure, you buy the Bitcoin at the price that you deserve. When you buy it at 99 grand, you're gonna lose everything. You deserve it. You deserve it to lose everything if you bought it at 99,000.
And when you finally see things clearly, and when you finally overcome that fear, you'll buy it. In December of 2013, I looked at it and I tweeted, Bitcoin's days are numbered. It'll probably go the way of online gambling. Big mistake. Bitcoin was $892. Okay? I got the price I deserved. And when I first started buying Bitcoin, I was buying it at $9,500. But that's okay. I'll buy it at $95,000. And then I'll be buying it at $950,000. And when it gets to $950,000, there'll be some whiny person, a talking head on television, saying it looks overbought right now. It looks a little bit heated. We think it's going to trade down to 700,000, and they'll miss it. It'll go to 8 million.
Yeah, it's easy to talk like it. He doesn't have any evidence of where the price of Bitcoin is gonna go. The mere fact that it doubled for the past 4 years, it doesn't mean that it keeps doubling. Doesn't mean anything. The number one rule is that past results are no guarantee of future performances, and nobody ever taught this guy the basic of investing. Because I can give you like countless examples of penny stocks or investments or commodities that went up by a lot and they all come down crash hard.
And they'll buy it at 8 million, and they will get Bitcoin at the price they deserve.
Well,
Bitcoin
if you say so.
Money you can't afford to lose. I'm not going to equivocate. You shouldn't equivocate. People that equivocate don't understand Bitcoin, and they still don't get the idea of perfect money. We didn't invest in it because we wanted to take a risk. we invested it and it, out of disgust with the world that forces us to take risk with everything else, where the risks are stacked against us and undisclosed. Bitcoin's better. When you embrace Bitcoin, you realize that your entire world is defined by a bunch of synthetic metrics. The CPI might come in as this, and the PPI might be that, and the employment rate is 2% or 3%, even though half of you don't have a job, and the ones that have a job aren't making as much as they were making, and everything costs 50% more. But the GDP is this, and the nominal GDP looks like that. But of course, we use the market basket of synthetic crap you don't want to buy to calculate the nominal and the real GDP. That's the matrix. You're living in the matrix. And rule number 10 is very simple. It's tickets to escape the matrix are priced in Bitcoin. You don't have...
Yeah, says who? Coming from him. Yeah, sure, because he wants to get you to buy the Bitcoin. It's typical sales pitch for a pyramid scheme, and they're all the same.
Don't have Bitcoin, you cannot buy your way out of the matrix. And until you understand that you need to buy your way out of the matrix with Bitcoin, you don't understand the matrix and you don't understand Bitcoin. You need to know. Rule number 12. All your models will be destroyed. I'm talking your political models, everything that we learned over 10,000 years. How do you run a city? How do you run a company? How do you run a country? How do you understand economics? What is inflation? What is economic prosperity? What is a job? Why should I do this? When you're looking backwards, all these people, they want to look at time series of historic stuff. All I see is a bunch of statisticians analyzing people with chariots and bows and arrows and camels and elephants. It's perfect money.
I believe we already wasted half an hour of our time.
Understand that, you realize everything you used for money in the past is toxic. Your capital is toxic. Your currency is toxic. We've been living in a world where the doctors bleed.
And Bitcoin is not toxic. It's the most polluted thing ever invented in the universe. All the pollution in the universe to mine a Bitcoin and all those data centers and the power absorption, that's not toxic.
Need you to death. We're living in a world where they inject garbage and sludge into your brains. You're living in a world where you're eating stuff which is poisonous, right? The cure is stop putting toxic stuff in your system. The orange pill is that cure. We need to spread that cure to the world. And how are we going to spread it? Rule number 14. Before Bitcoin, don't be against fiat. Before Bitcoin, not against fiat, right? If you go to Bernard Arnault, one of the richest men in the world, and you say to Bernard, well, here's a good business, selling handbags, selling luxury items. Bernard realizes he's not going to take all his money and buy euros or buy dollar bonds or buy pesos. But that doesn't mean he won't price his handbags in euros and dollars, right? The richest man in the world still will price things in a local currency, recognizing that people would rather trade the currency for the handbag, or trade the currency for the champagne, or trade the currency for the Bitcoin, right? We're for something which is beautiful and elegant and powerful and inspirational.
Says who? That it's beautiful, powerful, inspirational? You. But yeah, because it's in his interest to say those things without any evidence, only because the price is going up. But what is Bitcoin without its price? It's not used. when the Bitcoin is gonna come crashing down hard, there is no limit. This thing can lose 80, 90% in a few hours. So there is no stop.
We don't need to be against the other thing. At the end of the day, 99% of all the wealth in the world is going to be in something other than the currency, and half of it will probably be in Bitcoin. Let's just be for it.
The wealth of the universe is already not in currency. Okay, it can be in real estate, can be in hard assets, and can be in commodities. We don't need the Bitcoin.
Bitcoin's for everybody. Rule number 15. It's for the people you don't like. It's for the AI bot that took your job is going to run on Bitcoin. You'll be mad about the fact that the robo-taxi took your job or the robot took your job, but you should be happy about the fact that the robo-taxi that took your job runs on Bitcoin and wanted to buy your Bitcoin and drove up the price of your Bitcoin by a factor of 2.
So if I have to pay for anything, I have to pay, of course, in US dollars. But if I have Bitcoin, I have to change it. I gotta pay taxes on it, because it's not used anywhere. Okay, if I gotta make a purchase, I'm gonna have to buy it in US dollars. I'm gonna have to buy it in euros, and I still have to change my Bitcoin. And at that time, that's when I'm gonna be taxed. So the thing is that you buy Bitcoin with US dollars, that it's already taxed from your original income, and then you buy the Bitcoin, and they charge you the exchanges charge you, the wallet companies charge you, and then when I change it to US dollar, I gotta pay capital gains on it. So it's a double taxation. Because for what? For what? Because he's saying that
10 or 100 or 1,000, right? Your enemy is going to buy Bitcoin. The people that launch the ETF and buy the ETF that you don't agree with, that come from a place you don't like, they're going to drive up the value of your Bitcoin by a factor of 1,000. And you don't have to like them, and you don't have to embrace their ideology. What you should realize is the more people that join the Bitcoin system, whether they're your friend, your enemy, the religion you love, the religion you don't care for, the country that you're at odds with, they're all helping Bitcoin. And if you are true to Bitcoin, they'll be helping you. Rule number 16, learn to think in Bitcoin.
Well, he's running out of things to say. It's clear, right? Typical charlatan sales pitch of a Ponzi scheme, like there have been thousands in history. Actually, I looked up on Wikipedia, and these things they're going from the 1800. We got pyramid schemes, and we got Ponzi schemes, we got all things like and it's already happened also with cryptocurrency, BitConnect. It's a whole bunch of frauds, it's a whole bunch of nonsenses. You can look it up yourself on now this is Wikipedia. It's always the same. Now this is a huge pyramid. It's gonna come down crashing really hard, like you've never seen before. Okay, and so if you're smart, you understand history, you're gonna be okay. And all of those people, they ended up killed or locked up. Okay, you can do it yourself, like Bernie Madoff. They're all the same. They all speak the same. They're all the same sales pitch. It's just because this never happened in your lifetime, it doesn't mean that never happened in history. Okay, all of those people ended up locked up. The worst stupid shit anyone can do is lever the Bitcoin. Because what happens when the price collapses? But even if it's a convertible note, even if it's a non-recourse loan, they're gonna come and lock you up. It's a convertible note. I can't believe that. He's making a lot of assumptions. He's thinking that his shareholders are always gonna be with him, and price of his shares are gonna go to the moon, and what if they don't? I mean, this guy is gonna be killed or locked up. There are no other ways that he's gonna come out alive out of this huge fraud. I'm overwhelmed to know that this is nearly year 2025 and there are still people believing in this trash. Man, if you believe in this trash, you deserve to lose everything.
You know, I see a lot of people that hold Bitcoin, you know, and they still don't think in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been going up 50% a year for the past 4 years. That means the risk-free rate, the cost of capital is 50%.
And you don't even know what you're saying, because the mere fact that they went up, it doesn't mean anything. You don't buy anything just because it's going up. And you stay away from everything that's going way down too. That's not how you invest.
So you have the option to borrow money at 5%, loan it to Bitcoin at 50%, and keep the 45% difference.
Yeah, I understand that. But if it's too good to be truth, it probably is, and that's exactly the case, okay? Because you're not the first in history to promote a Ponzi scheme, and you're not gonna be the last, okay? And you will end up locked up.
I'll meet Bitcoin businesses that they want to actually raise money and loan it to someone at 15% time, and it's much bigger and stronger and more powerful and more intelligent than you are, right? It's like Taleb writes about intellectual yet idiots, like people with PhDs in aeronautical engineering that give speeches on how to make birds fly better. It's like, if you find yourself as the guy with the PhD lecturing eagles on how to fly, you're the person that thinks you can change Bitcoin, right? You're not smarter than Bitcoin. You're not 16 crappy businesses and 14 stupid industries because you're a genius. Right, you took the laser eyes off. Pride cometh before fall, and what you know, Bitcoin is going from $1 trillion to 10 trillion to 100 trillion to 500 trillion, and at that point it'll be growing better than everything else. And there's someone that wants to take laser eyes and focus on this thing as long as the joke is good, and then they're going to drift off to launch 82 other things. Well, let me tell you, there's 2.8 million mobile apps created for the iPhone, and you probably can't name a dozen that worked. There's 1.8 million extensions in Chrome, and you probably don't use 2 of them, right? There's a 99.9% mortality rate on new business ideas, but you're sure yours is going to work, right? Laser eyes are about humility. But
and yours is going to work? That's the least probable to work. I'm not saying that it's not going to work. I'm not saying that the price of Bitcoin is not going to go up. But in the end, it's the greater fool exercise. In the end, people who got in early, they're going to cash out, make a lot of money as soon as this thing turns red. And people who got in last, they're going to lose 80-90% in a few hours. If you ask me, this thing, there is no stop. This thing is going to come and crash down like you've never seen before. Because if it goes to 50 grand, is that a good re-entry point? If it goes to 30 grand, is that a good entry point? And when then it's coming down to 10 or 5 grand, that's when everyone is going to sell by the bulk. Took the 80% loss and never look at Bitcoin again.
But everybody is going to BS you. They're all going to tell you they've got this to fix it. Right? Don't be that guy. Right? Have some respect for this thing. We're almost done. I would be remiss in giving a presentation of 21 rules of Bitcoin if I didn't mention this rule. You do not sell your Bitcoin. What do I mean?
Sure that he's saying that. What is he supposed to say? Yeah, sell your Bitcoin. Sure that he's saying that. If he was to sell the Bitcoin and tell you that, well, then everyone selling the Bitcoin price crashes down and he loses it, and his company prices go down. Sure, what is he supposed to tell you?
Bitcoin is energy. Bitcoin is life. Don't squander your life. Conserve your energy.
How is Bitcoin life? Life was on the planet way before the Bitcoin, and we were just fine. How is Bitcoin life? How is Bitcoin energy? The only thing that Bitcoin energy is it's a waste of energy.
Energy. Right? I give you energy for, don't let the fire go out. When the fire is what keeps your family from freezing, do not let the fire go out. Right? You have a life, it's beautiful, you can do beautiful things. Don't throw yourself off a cliff. Right? And Satoshi gave you economic energy. You can capture it, you can own it, you can conserve it. Don't throw it away. Economically, Bitcoin's been going up 50% a year for the past 4 years. Every time you sold it, you gave up the best performing asset in the world to buy what? Diversification is selling the winner to buy the losers. When do you sell your Bitcoin? When your family is going to die, you sell your Bitcoin. When you need it to conserve your life, those of your life, the lives of those.
Well, sure, he's saying that because same thing. I mean, the Bitcoin price goes up and he profits it. You never sell and everyone is buying and no one is selling and the price goes up. Well, that's what he does. I mean, it's a sales pitch.
Those you love, then yeah, you trade it, you borrow against it. But you only need one share. You do not sell your Bitcoin. Everything else is inferior. The world, by the way, the entire world is constructed to convince you to sell your Bitcoin. Everybody wants you to trade your Bitcoin for their hedge fund, for their stock, for their idea, for their whatever it is. And you just have to keep in mind that no one is getting rich by telling you not to give them your money. And we've arrived at the 21st rule of Bitcoin. Spread Bitcoin with love. Not
for what? 21 rules.
Hate. Violence invites violence. Aggression inspires resistance. Satoshi, forgive them. They know not what they do.
But you see, you don't even know who this Satoshi is. It can be a criminal organization. This Bitcoin is being used for drugs. It's been used on the dark web. It's been hacked. It's been fraudulent. There are people in jail for Bitcoin. He's looking at it as Satoshi as a god, as the spiritual. He's stubborn, like all religious people. They're very fanatic. They're stubborn. You cannot have a conversation that makes sense with people like him because they're so stubborn. They're so close-minded that he's looking at Bitcoin like a religion, like a cult. Well, then if that's the case, okay, it's a cult, but it's only a cult between the people who bought into that cult.
People don't understand Bitcoin. They're going to resist you. They're going to be afraid of you. They fear what they do not know. But when you come across someone that doesn't like Bitcoin, they call it a scam. They call it whatever was the last most colorful thing that someone said about it. Your reaction ought to be, hey, they don't have a need to know. They don't understand. The world consists of people that need Bitcoin and they don't understand it, but they will. And those that need Bitcoin and they're in the business of getting it. When someone doesn't understand it and they treat you poorly and they're mean to you or they're aggressive or they're violent to you, the best thing you can do is just say they don't understand it. If you understood it, you wouldn't feel that way. Because if you push back against them with hate, that just slows down their learning path. They're just going to learn slower. They're going to adopt slower. If you actually treat them with kindness, they'll remember they were mean to you and they'll feel bad about it when they discover Bitcoin, and they'll come back and they'll embrace it. You make it easier for people to embrace Bitcoin and they'll do it faster. Don't give people the excuse that Bitcoiners are mean, they hate me, they were violent to me, right? Because then the entire topic just shifts to, a struggle, over some tangential thing which was irrelevant. So go place to place, door to door, person to person, institution to institution, nation to nation.
Okay, typical pyramid scheme. Typical. All the pyramid schemes in the universe. Go door to door, go to your friends, get to buy them in. You can name any Ponzi scheme. There was go tell it to all your best friends, your family and friend, get on the internet, get everyone to buy this Bitcoin. Yeah, it's a typical pyramid scheme.
Offer them something which is going to make their life better. Offer it with love, not hate. And with that, I want to thank you all.
You will only get what you deserve. Warren Buffett doesn't have to brag about his stock. Warren Buffett doesn't have to tell you to buy his stock. Doesn't need you to go to your friends and tell them to buy Berkshire. But he does. Because that's how the Bitcoin is. It's a huge pyramid. It's a huge scam, and it's only kept alive by people like him and who follow him. But there is no substance to it. It's not used. It might go up in value, yeah, but it might also lose 90% in 3 hours. So I mean, you really think there is a lot of much more downside to me. To someone that gets in now, there is upside.
Thanks for supporting Bitcoin. Thanks for being here today.